7:30 in the morning. Welcome back to the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. It's time to go to the Illegal Curve Hotline.
Now, let's go live on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show Hotline.
Barry Melrose of ESPN, thanks very much for joining us. Welcome to the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
Thank you very much for having me.
We appreciate that you're still willing to come on a show called the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. You know, I guess they do say time does heal all wounds, right?
Yes, I actually never even thought of that till you just mentioned it, but you're exactly right. It does heal. Time does heal everything.
There you go. Very appreciate that. Thanks very much. Yesterday, Twitter being the new media of choice for everybody. Yesterday, Theo Fleury, and admittedly, Theo might have just been trying to rile up some of his old nemesis in Vancouver, went to Twitter and said that he doesn't think that the Canucks have what it takes to get past the first round and make a run into the playoffs. How do you see Vancouver? They're the runaway leader for the President's Trophy right now. How do you see them coming into the playoffs and going forward?
Well, I think they're in great shape. I think they're the best team in the NHL. I think they're built for the playoffs. Getting Ballard and Hamhuis this summer to an already very good defense. You've got arguably the best two players in the NHL right now with the Sedin twins. I think Ryan Kessler is the best American-born player in the NHL.
Wow.
This team has got everything. They've got grit, they've got size, they've got talent, they've got goaltending. As of now, as far as I'm concerned, they're the favorite to win the Stanley Cup.
Barry, I agree with you there. And I wanted to ask you about Detroit, because this is a team that, obviously year in, year out, they're just always there. And this year they seem to be getting healthy moving into the playoffs, which is a key for them. How do you see Detroit moving forward?
Same as every year at this time. They're a team you got to take serious. Jimmy Howard doesn't get any respect in net, but he's among the league leaders in wins. Nicky Lidstrom looks like he's 20 years old. Rafalski's playing very good hockey right now. Datsud, Zetterberg are getting healthy and getting fresh. Some of the young players have had to play a lot more minutes because of injuries, and that's made them a better team, a deeper team. So, you can't talk about the Stanley Cup unless you talk about Detroit, and you still have to talk about the Red Wings. They're still one of the teams in the West that you have to come through if you're going to have a chance to play in the East in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Barry, this is a question about the team that you used to coach, the Los Angeles Kings. It's a two-part question. Do you have confidence in Jonathan Quick as being, the backstop of the Kings and leading them, on a long playoff run? And do you think it's a possibility that if Jonathan Quick struggles, that, Jonathan Bernier might get some time in the net?
Well, yes to both those. I think Quick's a good goaltender. I think he's proven last year and proven this year that the guy is an elite NHL goaltender. He's played very well, but now saying that, he is a young tender, and then young players of all positions tend to go up and down every once in a while. And then if he does struggle, I don't think that the Kings would have any problem throwing Bernier in there real quick. So, youth is great, but every once in a while, youth is a problem, and up and down play is one of the the signs of youth. I think the whole LA Kings team has been guilty of that this year because they played so well last year, and everyone thought that they were going to take a tremendous leap forward. But they've been hot and cold all year long, and that's a sign of a young team. Veteran teams don't tend to have peaks and valleys. They're pretty, you know what you're going to get every night. We young teams, they can be the best team in the NHL one night, the worst team in the NHL another night, and LA's been guilty of that so far this season. So, but I think Quick is capable of being an elite NHL goaltender. And, but also with a goalie like Bernier backing him up, you have no problem throwing him in if Quick doesn't look like it's his night.
Barry, you mentioned that the youth is often an issue for a team, especially in the playoffs. Put on your head coaching hat for a second there. As a head coach, how do you sort of deal with a team that's young and may not have the confidence going into the playoffs? When adversity begins to pop up, how do you get your team over that hump and so that they can perform to the best of their capabilities?
Well, they tend to fool you because I can guarantee you that the coach of LA, Murray, probably thought that he was over that hump at last year, the way they played in the playoffs in the year they had. He probably thought that they were ready to become a more veteran team and handle things better, but they were up and down again this year. And what you do is just, demand that they play well every night, demand that they become professionals, demand and expect that they do their job night in and night out, praise them when they do, and let them know when they don't. And that's just a process, night in and night out. And eventually they will become mature players. They will become pros, hopefully sooner than later. And when they do, then you become the Vancouver Canucks, or you become the Detroit Red Wings. When those young players become professionals, that's when you really have a team that's going to be good year in and year out for long periods of time.
Barry, I want to move to the Eastern Conference. You're located out east right now, and the Washington Capitals are a team that we've talked about in this show, and they've gone from being high-scoring to kind of calming it down and playing a little more of a defensive style. But they have three goaltenders that they're not really sure who they're going to use in the playoffs. What is their identity?
I think we're going to find out in the playoffs what their identity is, because they've made a conscious effort to become better defensively. Mm-hmm. They've given up offensive numbers. They feel that was their problem in the playoffs, that they couldn't win the 2-1 games, and now they've changed. So if they win in the playoffs, they'll say, well, this is all we needed. We needed to become a better defensive team. If they lose in the first round again, Bruce Boudreau will probably be fired, and they'll say that they made a mistake and they should have continued to be a high-octane, high-scoring team. So I think we're going to find out, what the Washington Capitals are, what they should be, and what they will be in the first round of the playoffs.
Barry, there's been a lot said the past couple of days, too, about this, this Alexander Ovechkin taking, 7 to 10 days off, and nobody's really sure if it's just maintenance, if there's an injury there, or if they just want to save him for the playoffs. I know you coach Wayne Gretzky, and Wayne Gretzky never took any time off, especially, unless you really had to push him. How do you feel about this time off that Ovechkin's taking right now?
Well, you got to know the player. That's what it's all about. Some players like a few days off and feel rested. Gretz hated that. Gretz never wanted to not play a game. He wanted to be on the ice. You'd watch his minutes, more so than usual, things like that. But Gretz wanted to be in the lineup all the time. But it's up to the coach to know the player, what he needs, what makes him tick, what makes him better. Some guys feel better if they're playing every day. Some guys feel better if they have a few days off. So it's all about knowing your player, and Bruce must feel that if Ovechkin's not hurt, that he needs the rest, or he's a little banged up and they want to make sure he's 100% healthy going into the playoffs.
The Tampa Bay Lightning have struggled, in the month of March. Do you think that they're capable of going on a long run in the East?
Looking at them now, no, because I think they're going to have to play. Right now it looks like they'll finish 6th, maybe 7th, but it looks like 6th. That means they're going to play a 3 seed. That's going to be Washington, Boston, or Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. That's a tough matchup for them the way they're playing. A month ago they looked very strong. They looked very solid. And if you look at Tampa, one of the things that really jumps out at you, out of all the playoff teams, they're the only team that has given up more goals than they've scored. That's a little shocking that a team that high in the standings with that many good players is on the minus ledger in goals for and goals against. So, obviously if Rolston gets on a tear and catches fire, they're certainly capable of winning. They do have a lot of offensive weapons, but they're not playing very good right now offensively or defensively. So you really can't project them, winning the first round against whoever they have to play against.
Barry, we don't get you on a nightly basis here in Canada, but I was in the States over the Christmas break, and I was watching ESPN, and you were talking about Kris Letang and his progression as a defenseman, and at that point in time, you thought he might have been the Norris Trophy candidate, if not the favorite. How do you feel about that now, and can you speak a bit about his progression as a defenseman?
Well, I think Letang's turned into a great defenseman. He's a great skater. He really competes. Matter of fact, sometimes he gets in trouble with penalties because he competes so hard. He sort of becomes unglued every once in a while. But this guy, he really took over when Gonchar left. He's the guy that runs the power play now. He's got a big shot. He plays a ton of minutes. He plays against the other team's top line. He's just an excellent young defenseman, and really fun to watch. He's really fit for today's game. He's fast. He's very mobile, moves the puck well, skates well, good passer. So, I think he's come off his game a little bit, but I think a lot of that is because Malkin and Crosby aren't in the lineup.
Right.
It's a lot easier to play defense when you can make the first pass to Malkin or Crosby and it's gone. So I think, those two guys have affected Letang also. But this kid's an elite NHL defenseman, there's no doubt about it.
Barry, last question here. Not that many people might not know that you played in Winnipeg in the late 70s for about a year and then a little bit into the 80s for about a quarter of a season or so. So we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you about the potential of the NHL returning to Winnipeg. So it's sort of a two-parter here. A, how do you see the Phoenix situation resolving? And B, do you see the NHL inevitably returning to Winnipeg?
I think I assisted on the first Winnipeg goal, as a matter of fact. I'm
really?
not sure, but I think I did. I enjoyed my time in Winnipeg. I'm a Saskatchewan boy,
That's
so
right.
I knew Winnipeg from the WHA. It's a great hockey city. Right now, it looks like there's a good chance that the hockey's coming back. The Phoenix situation's a mess. You've got Senator McCain now wading in, trying to keep the team in Phoenix, but it doesn't matter. Money is going to decide if the team stays in Phoenix, and right now they can't get that deal done. And then pretty soon the NHL, who is running the team and who is losing vast of money, that's not going to continue a year in and year out. You've got a building in Winnipeg. You've got a city that's hockey crazy. You've got an owner with tons of money. So right now, I would say I would not be surprised to see the Winnipeg Jets / Coyotes / whatever come back to Winnipeg. And I think it would be great. I think there should be 10 teams in Canada. I think there should be 10 teams in Canada, 20 in the United States.
Barry Melrose of ESPN, thanks very much for joining us this morning on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
My pleasure, guys. Take care.
Take care,
Barry.
Barry. Thanks very much.
Awesome interview.
Remus is going to check up on Remus
I'm
is
checking right now, too,
checking
yeah.
to see if he did assist on the first Jets goal.
Great to hear Barry support the NHL coming back to Winnipeg. He's a Saskatchewan boy, like
is,
he said.
absolutely.
Great interview, great insight, and hopefully we'll have him on in the near future.
He's really he's a great advocate for the game.
He is.
He's one of those guys
He
who's
is.
transcended the game
He's Don Cherry in the States, guys.
That's
Yep.
right.
Yep.
That's exactly what it is, and he's articulate and everything else, and he's just he's a lot of fun. So we appreciate Barry giving of his time to be here on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Boys, let's go to break. Still to come, we have Statistically Speaking next segment. Darren Ping from TSN and Fox Sports Net Midwest is coming up at 11 o'clock. Lots more to come. You're listening to the Illegal Curve Hockey Show live on Sports Radio 1290.